Hi everyone, good evening. Welcome to the Reva Show. This is a sort of podcast, YouTube style show where I just discuss some current events that I find to be interesting and try and educate y'all a little bit on what's going on right now because times are crazy. It's the Super Bowl. But I know that this Super Bowl is between the 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. The only reason I know the Kansas City Chiefs is because of Travis Kelce dating Taylor Swift. So everyone is talking about the Super Bowl, how it's happening February 11th in like a couple of weeks. A couple of my friends are hosting Super Bowl parties. Don't know if I'll be attending. Even more interesting than the football component of the Super Bowl is the drama going on between Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, and the Super Bowl. The biggest question on everyone's mind is Travis going to propose to Taylor? Personally, I think it's a bit soon. But you let the woman do whatever she wants. And there's some sort of like component, which is he's only going to propose if the Chiefs win. So I guess if the Chiefs lose, he's not going to propose. And if the Chiefs win, he will propose. This is one of the theories. Another question is, will Taylor even be at the game? Because she does have a concert in Tokyo the night before. And I know it's hard to believe she might miss one of Kelce's games as she's been on the sidelines before and she's gotten a lot of hate for that, for kind of taking up the attention and hogging the spotlight. But she is Taylor Swift. The Swifties aren't the only ones excited about this budding romance. Even airlines are, which I find hard to believe. American Airlines added flights between Kansas City and Las Vegas, with flights numbered 1989, which is a clear nod to Taylor's album, 1989. There's also a flight 87 with Kelce's jersey number. So 87 is Kelce's jersey number, I guess. I'm not familiar with that. In terms of the political side of things, Taylor is a big endorser of the Democratic Party. She supported Biden in 2020. She supported Hillary. So you can say she's a Democrat. Conservative media have proposed the theory that Taylor Swift is connected to the Democratic Party in somewhat of a sinister way. For example, conservative media host Laura Loomer said, quote, "It's not a coincidence that current and former Biden administrative officials are propping up Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. They are going to use Taylor Swift as the poster child for their pro-abortion campaign." Okay. And more fun stuff. On the question of Travis proposing, we're going to have to wait and see. We're going to have to wait and see whether he proposes or not. One thing is for sure, though, we won't be watching the Super Bowl just for football this year. Next up, protesters are throwing soup at the Mona Lisa. I know what you're thinking. What kind of soup was it? Was it tomato basil? Was it chicken noodle? Was it broccoli cheddar, perhaps? Apparently, it was pumpkin soup. That must be some sort of French specialty, because I am not familiar with that kind of soup, but I could go for some pumpkin soup. Anyways, one of the women, after chucking the soup, revealed her shirt, and it had something called riposte alimentaire. That is apparently the name of a food sustainability activist group, and they were fighting for climate change, food, all of these sorts of things. I'm going to get into it in a second, but the Mona Lisa has protective glass, you know, like bulletproof, whatever, windproof, I'm not sure, but it's protective over the front of it, so it wasn't harmed. I'm going to call them riposte because I don't know how to say the full name, but riposte, as I will call them, focuses on the issue of food insecurity in France. That's not good. They expressed their anger with the fact that, quote, Europeans no longer eat 3 times a day. That's probably why y'all are skinny and Americans are obese, because you are not eating 3 times a day. I personally was under the assumption that Europeans only ate cigarettes, smoked cigarettes, chocolate, alcohol, wine. That was, you know, the assumption that I had. And I thought Europeans made fun of Americans for being obese. But apparently I'm wrong. The Europeans, they like 3 meals. They do like 3 meals, or at least the climate protesters do. This group also demands that the French government add food to the social security system, and this would happen by giving each French resident a sort of card that has money loaded onto it, apparently $150 a month, and with this card, you can buy specifically government-approved food. Such a great idea. Let people only buy specific kinds of food. Of course, the government selects what kind of food you can buy, and the grocery stores should become more state regulated, and the people should become more state dependent. That is what these climate protesters want, or at least food insecurity protesters. I don't know if I can call them climate. I'll call them food insecurity protesters. And that's all I'll say about that. Next, Bustle writes that dating apps and websites are in their flop era. If you have a crush on me, you're probably thinking, does she have a dating app? Like, is she on Tinder? Guys, no, I'm sadly not on Tinder. I just physically can't put myself on there right now and like sell myself like a sheep. I haven't gotten there yet. I'm still praying that I can find a man in the wild, maybe like in a class or like in a party. But guys, come up to me in real life. Can't imagine like swiping left, swiping right on people just based off of their looks and maybe like a quote that they have on their page. But hey, I won't knock it until I try it or have to try it. Apparently, millennials and Gen Z agree on one thing and one thing only, which is that they are tired of dating apps. 79% of millennials and Gen Z don't even use the apps more than once a month, apparently. Match Group, the company that owns Hinge, Tinder, and OkCupid, has seen a decrease in their stocks by over 40%. In honor of the dating apps going out of style, let's take a walk through some of the most craziest things that dating apps have done. And I really only have like 1 or 2 things. Raya, because it connects like celebrities with celebrities and influencers with influencers. And if you have a following, you're going to have a Raya, and like you're so cool, you can be on Raya. Can you tell I have something against Raya? Because I'm on TikTok and people will screenshot their Raya DMs and it'll be like, you know, like One Direction band members like hitting them up, and they're just sharing this with the world. It's like, guys, have a little privacy, have a little respect. You're on Raya, act like it. I think there's somewhat of like there should be some sort of privacy clause with Raya, because I think it's weird when people will talk about the people they've matched with on Raya. I understand this is a free country, free speech. I 100% agree with that, court of law. But in a moral sense, it's a bit weird. It's a bit weird. Last thing I want to talk about, I love film. I love media. I consume media with just a vast amount of like, I can just consume it and consume it and consume it. Just like I can consume coffee, which I have right here. I've started making my own coffee, I just like buy it and add creamer. Very delicious. But 2 things I want to talk about. First is Anyone But You, which was a movie that did very well at the box office. It included both Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell, 2 very attractive actors, both good at acting as well. Sydney didn't really have any expertise in the rom-com genre. Glenn did. Sydney did a lot of dramatic acting in Euphoria. Glenn did Top Gun. He did Set It Up, which is a rom-com on Netflix. And I think I didn't actually watch the movie yet, haven't had time. But from what I heard was people saying things like it brought back the romance genre. It did so well. They had so much chemistry. And all I can say is it just like puts society into perspective. Like if you actually watch that movie and were like, these 2 are the cutest couple to ever exist. Like, guys, I'm sorry, but no. From a personal opinion, I can see you'd think it's hot. Like you'd think, yeah, they're both really hot. But in terms of like cute and like, they're both a little too good looking for me to think it's cute. Like The Notebook is cute. The Notebook has some like sentimental notes to it, but I don't think Anyone But You has any sentimental notes. It does have a lot of nakedness in it, which personally I think the media is trying to like sell nakedness now. I know we've all been desensitized as a society to like hook up on the first date, like F anyone you want. But in all reality, a lot of women don't want to do that. A lot of women don't feel the need to have sex on the first date and find that kind of weird to be in a movie. I mean, it's a classic trope. You know, you have a one night stand, it's a classic trope, so obviously I'm not surprised, but it would have been cool to see them do something original. Next, I'd like to talk about Percy Jackson. The thing about Percy Jackson is the one thing that people talk about in the negative light is like about their race, but then in a positive light, it's also about their race. And it feels like we're unable to critique the skill of the actors, because if we critique the skill of the actors, then we're critiquing their race and we're critiquing the way they look. I was obsessed with this book series called The Selection. The Selection was about this girl named America. She was a redhead, very white, red hair. It was her big thing. Like, she was different. Her name was America. She was about freedom. She had red hair. She had freckles. If they casted an Indian girl as America, I'd be a little confused. And it's not because I'm racist. It's just because I read the books. I understand where the plot is going. And you have certain expectations as the viewer to, you know, like, identify things. So you don't want to get confused. And it takes more work on the job as the viewer to be like, fine, I'll accept that change. And if the only reason I'm accepting this change is because the movie production company wanted to include a couple people of different races to make it seem more woke, then I don't need to do that. Write a story about an Indian girl and produce it. Okay? Make it into a movie. Anyways, Rick, you're gonna have some problem with that one because it's a pretty boring show, but I will watch it because I'm a big fan, diehard fan of your books. Lastly, I want to draw your attention to something alarming that is happening across the country. Phishing schemes. In the era of social media, phishing schemes are becoming quite popular. These schemes are usually by men on social media accounts. They will DM you or text you by getting your number in some sort of way. And they will strike up a conversation with you, posing as another teenager, male or female, and will ask you after a while to send some nude photos. Maybe they would have pretended to be in a relationship, but they will ask you for your nude photos. Do not send nude photos. It has ruined people's lives. People have committed suicide because they've sent nude photos and then have been blackmailed by these scammers for money. Sending nude photos can destroy your life. It's not something you want to be associated with. It's certainly not something you want to be seeing on the internet. You certainly don't want other people to know about this. There is a certain element that it is shameful, but it is more so of a safety concern. So don't ever send nude photos to anyone, okay? Okay. As always, take what I say with a grain of salt. Always fight for what you believe in. Do your own thing. Love y'all. Bye.